Hey friends, Peggy Hall back with you for some positive encouragement. We are going to talk about 5 reasons why you might be procrastinating. And then next week, I've got a bonus episode where I'm going to talk to you about what I think is the real reason most people procrastinate, especially when it comes to large projects that are actually important to them. But today we're going to talk about 5 things. I wrote them down so that I would be able to cover them step by step. And I realized that I was procrastinating on a couple of projects. And the number one reason I was doing that was because I actually didn't know how to do what it is that I was supposed to do. I was a little bit fuzzy on the technology and I didn't know exactly what was required of me. And let me know in a comment below if that is something that causes you to procrastinate. Also, let me know what you are procrastinating on and leave your questions as well so that I can cover them in the bonus video for next week. So when I don't know how to do something, I usually put that off. I think that I need to get more information, and that's usually the case. I feel that I might need to get an expert or somebody to help me out with that. And I have found that that has been very, very productive for me. So I could reach out on social media. I could ask, for example, if it's a technology thing, you can go on that website. It's called Fiverr, and there are people that can tutor you on things or actually do the project for you. Or sometimes it is as simple as just emailing someone and asking them. There's a project that I have that's related to work, and I needed to follow up via email with someone. And I simply said, hey, what is it exactly that you need? And how do I go about finding it? And I'm telling you, friends, after I took that first step, that's the other tip that I would give is just take the first step toward learning about something, asking for help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, hey, I can't quite figure this out. Where do I need more information? Can you help me? So number one, if you're like me and you get stuck and you put things off because you don't really know how to do it, just ask for help. Or the other thing that I like to do is I'll use my phone and I will set out like a 15-minute timer. And I do this when I'm decluttering as well. I find that having an end time for me helps me corral the project, because sometimes I think I'm going to get started on something, and that's going to be one of our other points here, and that you think it's going to take so long. So when I have set myself a timer, like I'm going to spend 15 minutes researching this. I'm not going to work on the project. I'm not going to complete what it is I need to do. I'm just going to spend 15 minutes figuring out what it is that I need to do and figuring out what I don't know about this project. And that leads me right into number 2. When I'm procrastinating on something, I think that it's going to take a long time. I think that the project is complicated. I only am worried about the ending, so I never get started. Let's think about taxes, for example. I'm filming this now in early 2022. Tax season is right around the corner, and maybe you need to go through all of your accounts and you need to get your paperwork in order and your receipts in order. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to take me weeks. The fact is, we don't really know how long a project is going to take until we finish. And that's where the handy timer comes in again. Now, I use the timer on my phone, but you might want to have something really fun, like a kitchen timer that buzzes. You can use your kitchen timer on your stove, or you can buy a little standalone timer. And what happens for me is it helps me be very focused and very, very productive. So I don't end up spending time on social media or going through my emails or clicking through on YouTube or rearranging the furniture or doing a load of laundry or taking my dog out for a walk or whatever it is that I tend to do when I procrastinate. Just as an aside, I call this productive procrastination. Let me know if that ever happens to you, where you really get a lot of other things done, except for that one thing that you were going to do. So at tax season, I end up cleaning out the sock drawer and I rearrange and fold all of my linens in the linen cabinet. And I might go through all of the, glassware in the kitchen, because I'm doing other projects instead of that one project that I think is going to take a long time. And what happens is I'll say to myself, okay, I need an uninterrupted morning or afternoon or weekend to go through this project. And I create this atmosphere that it's going to be so daunting that I'm never going to get through it. And I need hours and hours and hours. So when I set myself that 15-minute timer just to get started, I don't worry about the ending. I only worry about getting started. And that will help me get over that hump of procrastination. Often I find we are focused on the finish line instead of the starting line. So just taking it step by step, giving yourself a small window of time and saying, I'm going to work for 15 minutes and then I'm going to stop. I'll do another 15 minutes later. That has helped me a lot. And you probably are nodding your head because you know what I'm about to say. And that is this simple truth that most of the projects take a lot less time than, well, I'll speak for myself, than I anticipated. I will think that a project is going to take me 4 or 8 hours, and it took me 15 minutes. And I had this project that had to do with going through my bank accounts and all. It's like, it hardly took me the amount of time that I had anticipated. So you can reduce the pressure by just getting started and give yourself a stopping period. It has changed my life. All right. The third reason why I procrastinate, and maybe this is why you do too, is sometimes there is a project, and I'm just going to speak honestly here, I find that I resent it. Like, why do I have to do that? Why am I the one that has to go do XYZ? And I don't want to go do XYZ. Let's just say, I don't know, change the oil in the car. I did a video some months ago about the $1 million oil change because not getting the oil change cost me so much time, money, headaches, inconveniences. And I learned that just getting the oil changed could possibly save me so much time, headache, and inconvenience in the future that who knows, it might even yield $1 million result for someone in terms of, I'm just using that as an example, in terms of saving money, of not making a bad business deal, of maybe making an investment. And over time, saving time by not procrastinating could have an amazing impact on your life. So when I start thinking about resenting things like, I don't want to do it, well, the simple result, or the simple resolution for that, and the strategy and the solution, is to have someone else do it. You might be able to pay someone. Perhaps you can get a friend to take your car, or your spouse, or your child, or whoever. Have somebody take your car in for the oil change so you don't have to do it. If there are household chores around, maybe you don't have the ability to pay a handyman to do these things. Maybe you can do a trade or a barter. Maybe you like, I don't know, washing the dog, and you can wash your neighbor's dog if they'll come in and patch a few holes in the wall. So often I find that I procrastinate on things because I actually don't want to do it. It's not that it takes too much time. It's not that I don't know how to do it. I just don't want to do it. So give it to someone else to do. And it's okay. It is okay to have someone else do these things. There's always another way, friends. And as I say, I want to find it. Now, this number 4 and number 5 are two sides of the same coin. And that has to do with the level of importance that you attach to this task that you are procrastinating on. And I find that for many of us, we'll say, well, it's not really that important. I can let it go. I'll do it later. It's not that important. And that may be true, that it's not that important. However, when we allow the pressure to build up on these things that aren't very important, it's like a pebble in your shoe, and it is an energy drain. I'm speaking for myself. So I had a pair of shoes that I wanted to get repaired, and they are shoes to wear in the summer. They're a nice pair of sandals, and during the time that I wanted them repaired, it was the winter. And I thought, well, it's not that important. I'm not going to be wearing them right away, and I'll do it later. But every time I would see those shoes there that needed to be repaired, I would give a sigh, and I got to get these shoes repaired. So I kind of combined number 3. I asked my husband to take my shoes to the shoe repair, and I ended up picking them up. But just the fact that they were no longer in my line of vision, and he had taken them in, I thought, great, that makes me feel so much better. I had a, lightness in my step. I felt more cheerful that day because I wasn't staring at that pair of shoes that really wasn't that important in the grand scheme of things, but it really was important because it's something that I wanted to have prepared. And I'm happy to say that I picked up the shoes and they're ready to go for the summer, and it makes me feel happy and I can turn my attention to other things. Now, let me just give an extra little bonus clue as to why you might be procrastinating. And that is because you want to focus on other things, or you don't want to focus on that thing at hand. So when I was allowing all of my energy and attention to be riveted by this pair of shoes that was sitting there that needed to be repaired, it was almost as if it was a distraction from other things that were important to me. And that brings me to reason number 5, why a lot of us procrastinate and why you might be procrastinating. And that's because it is important. In fact, it's so important to you that you may think that you're going to make a mistake. You're not going to do it good enough. People aren't going to appreciate it. And it is so important to you that you've put all of this pressure on yourself. It might be that you're finishing up a project. Maybe you're writing a blog post. You promised to take photographs of something, or you were going to take a class. It might be something very important, like I say, getting your car fixed. Maybe you are applying for another job. You have to get your resume in order. I recently spoke about on my Healthy American channel about getting my passport photos. Oh my gosh, I had passport photos on my to-do list for so long. And I simply said to my husband, get in the car. We're going right now to CVS. We're going to get our passport photos done. And why did I procrastinate on that? Well, I can say it was all of the above. I didn't really know how to do it. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how much it was going to cost. I thought that it was going to take a lot of time and we had to go to the post office. And I kind of resented it because I thought, oh my gosh, I should just be able to send in my old passport. Why do they need a new photo? And then number 4, I thought it wasn't that important because we weren't going to be traveling. And finally, number 5, it is important to me because I don't want to be caught off guard in our current day events where suddenly the government is going to say there's a new emergency or something, and suddenly we can't get our passports. So it immediately became important to me, but I kind of pushed that pressure aside by not even scheduling it for another time. I just said to hubby, let's go. I'm going now. Let's go get our passport photos taken. It took probably 30, maybe 45 minutes when all was said and done. Driving to the drugstore, I did a whole video about how they wouldn't let me smile in passport photo. And then we got home, we finished the applications, we sent them off in the mail. And I would say that entire project was done in about an hour. And I literally procrastinated for over a year. Yes, for over a year. Now that was an energy drain. Every time I saw passport photo on my to-do list, on my calendar, it was like, oh, I got to go get the passport photo. And, putting the things off just adds to the pressure. Now that gives us an area of inquiry. Why do we want to put pressure on ourselves? That's a good question. I'm going to leave you with that question. I would like to hear your answer as to why we put pressure on ourselves. I'll give you my own answer. And that's because for me, I feel that when I am under the gun and I'm on a deadline, there's no other solution other than to get it done. And if I don't get it done perfectly, well, then I have an excuse because I ran out of time or maybe I was rushed. So that is something to dive deeper into, because why would I want to put that pressure on myself? And friends, I have changed. These examples that I'm giving to you are recent examples, but I'm telling you, it is so much better than years ago where I was the queen of procrastination. And I'm going to talk about this bonus reason next week. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people really are aware of. And once you are aware of this reason why you might be procrastinating, and it goes very deep, then you may find some relief. You may find a sense of motivation and commitment and drive. and initiative. You may feel inspired and empowered to just get her done. And that is my goal for you. So can't wait to speak with you next week. I always appreciate having you on board here. Please let everybody know about our positive encouragement sessions here. I think it's so important in any stage of life that we can encourage ourselves rather than criticize ourselves, that we can look for the positive, that we can have a sense of cheerful curiosity and optimism going into the future, because heaven knows that the hogwashers want to pull onto our ankles and pull us underwater so that we can find it more difficult to keep our head above the waves. And I'm telling you, friends, when you get these things done, when you check these things off your to-do list, when you set a time frame, when you find out how to do it, when you have someone else help you with it or even take on the project, you're going to be filled with so much energy, with a sense of what's next, bring it on, I'm ready. And that's exactly the kind of emotion that I want to have going into my everyday. So thanks